Hello, everyone, and welcome to I was nearly going to say the Dental Innovator podcast, but I've just changed the name to the Innovator podcast. Welcome. And today we have Ollie Martin with us, who is an expert on psychedelics, is someone that I have known well recently over the last year or two, and somebody I first came across in the 5MEO movie. If any of you haven't seen it, it's a really good little introduction into the world of psychedelics, and it was quite a human story with three guys. So, Ollie, I thought you were great in that, and your contributions were some of the highlights for me when I was watching. So, thank you for joining us. How are you today?
After the hassle we had with the camera set, well, it's just tech stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that really drawn us already into, how can we serve people? Because it's all that. Yeah.
So the first question I always ask, Ollie, is what is your mission in life? What is your purpose in life? Like, what do you see as your reason for being here in this world, in this time? And that's quite a difficult question for people to answer often, but I'm gonna put it to you anyway.
Well, well, ob- obviously there's Ollie taking place here, yeah, and there's consciousness behind that. And Ollie's that little guy, who constantly is going like, look at this world, how can we go on? So yeah, obviously he just has the mission to think life is shitty or something. Yeah. So my mission, on the other hand, is you know, be the change by being the change. That's or bringing the change by being the change. And it's just we are all kept in this idea of being me. And the more you can share with people what truly matters, like love, yeah, like connection, like knowing what truly life is. The more you spread that by connecting with everyone, um, yeah, you're doing a service to all of us because it's all connected, and you have the choice to how you interact with people. The thing is, you see, I'm learning still a lot on how to cope with myself, how to love myself the way I am, which is basically, I guess, that's the big one in life. But I can say that I'm not putting any misery or bad shit on any other person anymore. And that
Mm.
is very important because we are all teached into the system of bullying ourselves through life. And I think that's if you make a change there and just stop giving the blame to anyone else for just, for your shit, that's a big one. And if you stop that, there's already big change coming. So since I'm not good with sitting in a 9 to 5 job. My thing is like, live, experiencing life, and that has always been like experiencing substances, and I mean substance abuse as self-medication kinda. So then I ended at growing mushrooms 30 years ago already. I'm 48 now, and yeah, and if you grow mushrooms and if you do them, you just have this like you need to share them, you need to spread that. You can't keep it to yourself. And then it all started there. So like 13, 14 years ago, I started to share this publicly, in a sense that I've been starting to do sessions. And from that, it all evolved into, you learn how to do this. You learn how to sit for people, be with people, and what kind of responsibility comes with that. And yeah, so it's all about sharing love in core, and I really love to share the wisdom I gathered from doing psychedelics, specifically mushrooms, and also 5-MeO DMT. Something Meanwhile, have a good practice of how to do it from all the sessions I've done. And yeah, it's lovely that you mentioned the movie because I was just writing with Boris. Every
All
now and
right.
then, every few months or something, we get in exchange. And I said, I've been having a podcast with this spiritual dentist podcast about it, and with a friend, with Harry. Yeah, and And I say, I will mention the movie. I will mention the movie, but obviously you just did it. So it's a very lovely movie. And it is a movie. It's kind of like an adventure. It's not that typical, Joe Rogan, advertises the DMT or 5-MeO DMT kind of, it's this stuff. And it's just a story. It's a story about humans. And that's beautiful. And the center is this adventure with the five that you also undertook, yeah.
One thing I want to touch on, Ollie, is we're going right into it, but there'll be some people listening to this who might not even really be aware what psychedelics are. They might be thinking, yeah, war on drugs, 1960s hippie movement, and then I kind of just don't know what it is, right? So people putting flowers into guns on Vietnam War protests in America, right? So what would you summarize psychedelics actually as? Like, what are they and what do they do?
I'm still having this image in my head of guns with flowers and love. Well, well, the thing is, and I was mentioning the love thing before myself. So well, well, let's the serious approach would be like that's what is also been like pushed into media right now. It's like this is the tool to work on yourself. Yeah, this is the tool to purge old traumatic events. It's psychotherapy. Yeah, and that might be right. Yeah, partially that's the case. I personally would say, and it's very dose dependent. Yeah, it can be a support, um, like to balance out the chemistry that you have in your brain when you go the microdosing road. Yeah, so you take a dose every day, which is so small that it's not directly active, but overall, over time, you accumulate a level in your brain. Um, but then there's this big field of how you would call that. Yeah, well, I call it having a non-duality experience, like an experience where you go beyond the self, beyond the person you think you are. But um, well, that would be let's say high dose sessions where you can encounter what would be called a death experience, yeah, where it's not an experience, actually it's real, yeah. And so the thing is that either you have this high dose experience, which is how I work, where you can go beyond this self, which is limiting you in daily life, and that's the thing where we initially started. You have this possibility of doing therapeutical work with it, which is what is very much pushed in the media right now. Where I see you can do it, but it's very important that there is additional support of talk therapy, of going through the stuff that will surface through this um, in a proper way. And typically, people work in a retreat, right here, yeah. So, and if you work in a retreat, you have people coming to that retreat, and there's a little bit of talk going on before or after. This is how we have done it. We do it weekends, over 3 days, yeah, where people were coming on the Friday and getting together. Then they have the session, and then there is exchange. But this is not what I mean with a proper support for integration and for really going through the stuff that washes up. And yeah, so my idea of really good and proper therapeutic work with mushrooms, and I always am for the mushrooms because they are very, very, very special in that regard, that they are very gentle, though very potent, and that there is a, well, yeah, there's something with them that makes them very special because you just pluck them in the wild and can eat them. There's no process being made, but it's just there's a lot of stuff going on, and obviously there's money involved in all of this, and I guess it's more that they do want to produce the psilocybin and the psilocin in pill form, and then use it that way. but yeah, I'm not coming from this kind of from this kind of point, being a mushroom grower and that. So yeah, but for me, it would be possible to do this therapeutical approach because I personally think that this person would need to be in a very tight container of like 4 to 6 weeks support, and well, in for the future, I would dream from having a center kind of style, where yeah, where you can then approach with, and also the dosages would be a little bit lower, between the 10 to 15 milligram range, and repeated use of that within this therapeutic container. That would be really something where many people can have benefit from, even if they have strong and intense traumatic events and difficulties in life. That was a bit of,
No, no, that's fine. That's fine. So you mentioned something before about experiencing like a death experience, and some people who hear that might be because you said it's not just you feel like you're dying; it's like it's almost like a real thing. So um, how do you say when someone sees a calling for something like that, they don't really have to force it, do they? Do you feel like this naturally come to the psychedelic? It doesn't feel like they're having to force it or do some sort of adrenaline thing where they're like, oh, yeah, I'm gonna, go and try this to have an experience. It seems like, you get a calling to do it and then it almost just naturally starts to happen and flow in that direction. Would you agree with that, Ollie?
well, the question is always, is this a calling, and where is this a calling from within, or is it a calling because people just watch too many YouTube videos, yeah, or read too many articles like this? It's like I say, I think there's a big movement behind this, which pushes it into the public view of it, and I'm personally, I wouldn't say this is without reason, but as we said before, let's not walk that path. But I'm pretty sure, that see the whole society is built in a way where we always think, how can we improve ourselves? How is there a way how to become a better self? And the thing is that if you don't have the underlying trust and the underlying awareness in the fact that being the self is just a part of you and not all you are, that if you don't have that, then you can lose yourself into, yeah, constantly trying to be in the future, fixing the problem that you think you are actually not have but are, and which is not existent. Yeah, if you start to acknowledge the fact that you are that way in the first place, you're not keeping constantly looking away from yourself. And that's the point. And I think that this approach that they take with psychedelics is always on an from an external point of view, to improve the self. And the latest big shit, sorry for the wording, but the latest big thing, yeah, in the psychedelic community, or in, even, well, like what can be called media. I mean, there were some papers saying like Hunter Biden did 5-MeO-DMT, or this they even call it, yeah. And you would kind of ask, oh, isn't Hunter Biden the guy with the, yeah, the laptop thing? And crazy, yeah. Or there are a lot of other people, who get pushed in that direction. So people see this, and the latest big thing is like, you need to die, yeah, to realize how beautiful life is. You need to kill your ego, yeah. Well, see, obviously, you're having this wish from the ego point of view, because love is without wishes. love, love is without all this. Love is, yeah, and you, if you focus on be here now, uh, not need anything. And if then there comes this idea, I need to kill the ego needs to die, it's actually the ego thinking that.
Well, we actually
And
we you get indoctrinated into that in spiritual circles as well. Um,
yeah.
you kind of get indoctrinated into this kind of feeling like the ego's some sort of big bad that you have to defeat, like some sort
Yeah,
of hero's journey that develops in your mind about like, right, I've got
yeah,
this big, thing that I've got to conquer in my life. And it's like, it's similar to war on drugs type tactics back in the day. They when the people they want you to have this mentality of being in a fight
yeah,
because that resistance towards the thing actually makes it bigger and
mm,
makes it more prominent. And it what really you need to do is surrender to the experience,
yeah,
whatever that experience is,
yeah,
and get into more and more of a surrendered state. And personally, I do feel like psychedelics have made a massive impact on me in that regard. I
yeah,
came from a much more traditional spiritual backing of meditation and
mm,
stuff like that.
mm,
And when you read about these masters, you're reading about these people who've like conquered the ego,
mm, mm,
and it can create a very adversarial relationship in your own head.
yeah.
And sometimes you just need to be at peace with yourself and accept yourself for who you are and accept the ego and accept all your idiosyncrasies and your
Well,
problems. And
I
I find
wouldn't.
that the more that we
Yeah,
fight, the worse it gets.
yeah. I personally wouldn't go so far. I'm not using the word ego that much because, if at all, yeah, I just said it. Yeah, but I think it's so overloaded with negativity that
It's
you
true.
will have a hard time to say thank you. Thank you that I am here. Thank you that I'm on this trip. I love, my ego being the vehicle, being part of the vehicle, to experience all this here. And so, yeah, this is why I don't use the word. And actually, this is, you have a hard time to find people saying that to themselves. But this is really, that's the easy way, yeah. The way we always overlook. Why are we not starting with gratitude and with acknowledgement of where we are, who we are, and what is, instead of constantly looking away from that and into a future self which is better. I'm not saying that you did not improve yourself with these experiences. The question is just, um, were the big improvements happening because you were seeking them out and then doing the drug and then ta-da, it was all solved in a sec? Or was it more that initially you had this longing and you started, and the real benefit came from realization that it's okay and that there's nothing to solve and that there's nothing to fix and that there's, how beautiful it all is. I mean, this is where people fall into when they're in these experiences. It's called letting go. Yeah, it's which is also funny, people like it's all about letting go, right? Yeah, and letting go is not doing something. It's not, I'm letting go now. Yeah, it's just happening in and out of itself when you have enough.
But we
And
all, Ollie, we all romanticize even
yeah,
the journey, right? We all like we all like romanticize the journey, and it's like the funny thing is, it's actually just it's kind of paradoxical. Is that like it's the journey that's the problem because journey is predicated upon time, right? And time when you get to a certain when you've been to had a certain experience, you understand time is kind of a construct, and the only thing that really exists is now. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So like we're almost like programmed from a young age, even in the books that we read or things that we interact with, the movies. Like we're always programmed to see there's got to be a destination that I'm going to. I've got to be traveling from A to B. I can't just be traveling, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's indeed it as is, that's the reason for doing it in the first place. And while you were saying that, I was just like, what is that? Just like for an easy example, what is happening today? So we started and the recording issues, and while the whole process goes on, you end up in the wow, it's happening moment, and then it's okay, and you don't have this oh, I didn't want to do this or whatever thing. And yeah, so I mean, there's also it's so funny with podcasts. You always have this you need to deliver thing. Yeah, it's kind of like So, it goes 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then the recording starts, and you go like, okay, I take on this mask of being the moderator of this show, and hey, I'm having this guest Oliver here, and I'm on one level, I'm having this like, shit, I need to deliver. People are sitting there and they want something, and when they see this guy can't speak straight, I mean, English is not my first language. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, you're
But
doing a great job, Ollie. You're doing a great job.
yeah, yeah, but it's kind of like you have simultaneously the show running here, and still it goes on, and you're losing it, and then you're suddenly there. Yeah, and it's not. I want to be here. It's all here now. Yeah, Eckhart Tolle says there's only the here now. I need to meditate on this, and you can go pretty crazy, being obsessed with that. Before you were obsessed with the Porsche, now you're obsessed with the here now, yeah. And this is the thing where I'm very critical about all the spiritual and the psychedelic movements, yeah. And now we have the 5-MeO DMT, you have the spiritual and the psychedelic movement combined, yeah. And the crazy thing, it's how these spiritual people explain you why they want to do a 5-MeO session is yeah, I heard it's not psychedelic at all. It's just this experience. It's just it's just self-dissolution. It's the ego. It's the ego death. Yeah, experience. I don't want the hallucinations. I don't want the drug. Yeah, I want the experience. And I say, well, you don't get it by just pushing the button. The process is happening before that, and then it's meaningless to do it then. Yeah, you can do it, and then you do it, and then and the best way is to do it and then realize, oh, I knew it all. I knew it before. And it's just a nodding it. It's just life is nodding in your direction, saying, hey, see, you knew it. Yeah. Yeah. I'm 40 years, I've been on this trip. I'm 48, and people are on this trip, and the trip is to come back where you came from. That it's all about the trip and not about the goal where you go to.
So, Ollie, like one thing that I want to clarify as well is, you've mentioned mushrooms. You've obviously mentioned 5-MeO DMT. What would you say the fundamental difference is between things like psilocybin, which have a bit more of a long-acting, gentler process, and things that are quicker in a time frame, but a much more pronounced, bang kind of experience? Like, where do you stand in regards to, like, let's say a beginner? What should they do first if they're trying to go down this road?
Well, that's two questions, obviously, yeah. So, I'm doing both sessions, yeah. Though I'm doing mushroom sessions for people who already have had mushrooms, so high dose mushrooms, ayahuasca. That's how the homepage is called. And so obviously this is high dose mushrooms. So there's a difference between mushrooms and high dose mushrooms. Yeah, and 5-MeO DMT is this, you typically vaporize the drug and it sets on within 30, 40 seconds, and in a minute you're just gone. Yeah. So there is a place for that kind of experience. But it's a pretty unnatural way of having such an experience. Whereas the mushrooms, they have like a curve which is like this, they take the time to take action on you. Then you're reaching a plateau and come down slowly again. So you have time to let go into it properly by the long come up. And you have time to integrate it while already coming down. I mean, pure integration takes place in the weeks, if not months afterwards. But the overall experience is very natural, very, soft. That's how life is going. The tree doesn't drop the leaf in an instant. It just takes a few weeks. So yeah, in that regard, mushrooms is it, if you ask me. And typically, you can't get pretty sick from them. They're just really, the amount is very low. So it's not like ayahuasca, where you take a brew and you get instantly sick because I mean they cook all. It's not the DMT, yeah. It's all the plant material which is cooked in the brew. And with mushrooms, you don't have that either. And so yeah, mushrooms is the thing. So the second part of the question, how would you start? Would be, see, my children are around, but two of them are in the 20s, and my son is 17. So not yet came the point where my son is asking me who is more into substances. My younger daughter, she's not really interested, but my older daughter, she is interested, and she did try to do mushrooms. And obviously, I was in this position of I care a lot because it's my daughter, and how much would I have? I mean, I would never give mushrooms to children. Yeah. So in our range here, it's 18 years. Yeah, where you say you're adult. So that is a number I would say, a person would need to reach before starting doing this stuff. So I'm not a fan of 15-year-olds buying mushrooms, truffles in Amsterdam. Yeah, that's I'm not a fan of that. And um, so yeah, there's the exclusion with the microdosing. We had that before. Yeah, so microdosing is not directly active working mushrooms. So that is a difference. Yeah, you can do this below. Yeah, but really a real trip. Yeah, you need to have a certain age, and then yeah, you can do both. Yeah, if you have a sitter and a professional one, you can dive in and do a real deal session. Real deal session would be starting 20-25 milligrams. Uh, it depends on the mushroom species you have, how many mushrooms you need to take then. But typically, from the potent stuff that I have, I would, well, we're talking about 1.5 gram to 2 to 2.5 gram. And but you need a proper sitter already for that.
Mm.
But then there's also the possibility just do 0.5 gram where you go like zero point 0.5, zero point 0.6, zero point 0.7 milligram of, or not point percent, so 5 to 7 milligrams of active alkaloids. Yeah, so that would be a gentle startup experience. The thing is just if you repeat too often, and that finishes the answer. Yeah, um, if you do this too often, the mind gets used to having the control. And I personally believe it's not about manifesting that way of control because you stay on the surface. It's always the mind. You stay in duality. And it does, well, in our society at least, yeah, without the proper, let's say, spiritual, yeah, yeah, for the lack of a better word at that point, spiritual background, yeah, you can lose yourself into just manifesting more of that mind control that you've been raised into from our society. So
Mm.
this is also what's taking place with a lot of what is advertised right now, that people go repetitively to these sessions, and maybe they even increase the dose, but so small dose increase that they get more and more the control over it. And it's see that's the core. It's about giving up control.
Yeah.
The experience is in core, and if you do it in a proper setting with darkness, with gentle, I use Eno music, yeah, gentle ambient music playing, just a candle burning in the night, yeah. If you give a proper surrounding, a proper container setting, you can take a small dose and go far out, because it's all about, you know, putting the mind into a gentle mode to easily lift off of the constraints of the mind. And yeah, well, I leave it
So it's
at
quite. It's.
that
I
for
want to
you.
just.
Yeah.
No,
So
no, that was a great
see,
answer. I just
there's no
wanted to.
proper answer.
I just wanted to extrapolate on that
Yeah.
because I just got an idea that the mind came up with one there, Ollie, that people probably get is the word danger. Now, the word danger is probably too heavy a word, right? But
Well,
when you were
yeah.
talking about set and setting, it can, Do you feel like there's any like errors that people, really big errors that people can make at the beginning that might cause them to have not so good or helpful experiences? I've heard of a few anecdotal ones where they're kind of taking it recreationally. It's not really in a proper setting, and it's not gone well. Put it that way, right? What would your advice be as someone who's been a practitioner of this for a very long time, is with regards to things to avoid doing, and maybe settings to avoid, because a lot of people do group sessions as well.
Well, if you go to a group session, you need to take care that and this you see, I'm saying this from a point where I did differently. If I would do group sessions again, which I'm not seeing, but if I would do it again, I would stick to the maximum 1 to 2 situation. So one sitter sits for 2 clients. What we were doing was 2 sitters for 14 clients. So,
Wow.
well, it there it never went terribly wrong or so, and we were doing really high dosages. But yeah, definitely I learned it's not the way to do it. It's not the even if you mean well, if you give it all in. I was burning out crazily after for 5 years, and it's very you have a much better quality of the experience, if you be aware of the quantity, and that's yeah. So um, and the big mistakes, I mean, read it up on the internet, set and setting. What is the set, the mindset, yeah, and what is the setting? And go to a party on mushrooms first time, you're asking for trouble, that's clear. And it doesn't help, that you can order on the internet in Holland, yeah, in Netherlands. You can order these psychedelic truffles, which, by the way, are not truffles. Yeah, it's just I mean, they know how to market shit. Yeah, it's sclerotia, but other story. It's just it yeah. It's very good to know someone who grows mushrooms. Yeah, and can supply you with such, and also does it in a responsible way. Why by giving yeah, a direction list and talking with you and supporting you before and after. So yeah, I mean, since I'm only doing these high dose sessions normally, yeah, I'm ending up in this situation that I'm not having many sessions. I mean, luckily I'm not in the need to do them, yeah, because I'm this it's not my main job and I'm not feeding a family with it. So which is very important because a lot of these people they need to make money. And if you see, it's not good energy if you need to make money and then do this work. And so yeah, but I'm sharing my mushrooms. Let's let it put that way. And yeah, it's very important that you that you share with people how to properly do it. And being able to buy them in a shop is not necessarily a good thing because yeah.
So I've got an affinity for like ritual slash ceremony type ideas. I just have a natural affinity for it, you know. I just like it, but I do feel like it's beneficial for stuff like psychedelics, basically. Would you agree with that? Would you see like having someone that you trust who's there sitting for you and then treating it with respect? Maybe is that the word?
Yeah, well, uh, see, I'm not against retreats, yeah, or group sessions or something. It's just when you have a group session, you need to take proper care about the screening of people, and you need to have a certain level of experience with these people, and you need to be clear that the dose where you head for is not crazily much more than what these people know it is. So in that sense that the overall experience of the group energy, that this is kind of like the main focus that you have there. Yeah. It's just on typical retreats, they take everyone, and I say that for myself too. I wasn't having the time deeply screen on people like I do it today with my sessions that I do today, the private ones. Um, and yeah, you end up with with a situation, yeah, where you can't take proper care for a person who has overdone it in that sense because they weren't prepared properly for what would be happening. And then it's more like a disturbance to the rest of the group because that person is not really connecting with the other people in a sense that he would be um, grabbed from falling through the group energy. But it's really, it strongly depends how long you're with these people in this group before. And there are some good examples of people going to Peru and doing ayahuasca and having like a 2-3 days getting together in the jungle before that together. So then in the jungle where it's an environment you don't know as a Westerner, you're more dependent on the other ones and you're more connecting with everyone around you. And yeah, so that is a much different thing than driving to Holland, going to a retreat 2 hours after you came there. You start with the first sessions, and you're just thrown together in one box because it's cheaper to serve that way. That's a different approach. So there's beauty of doing a group session. It's not that there's definitely a beauty, but the smaller the better. A group is already 4 people or 3 people even, but let's say four. You see, there's a guy. He's a Dutch guy who does sessions in the Netherlands, and I'm supplying him with mushrooms. Yeah. Um, so his sessions are done with the beauty that I'm creating here. So or which is created for me or whatever. And so he can make sure he has the best material. And I know how he does sessions, and that is a very good way he does it. He has a good support before and a great support afterwards. And he also is just doing it with 2 sitters for maximum 5 people. Exactly what I said before, yeah? One on
Yeah,
two approach.
makes sense.
And he does have a very good and in-depth sign-up procedure. So yeah, I'm like I said, if I would do it again, I would work that way too. It's just maybe I've done it too much. I mean, five years was a long time, and was 41 weekends we've done, and that were taking 3 days always, and it was tough stuff.
So just
So
talking about the movie for a second, how did you get
yeah,
involved in that? How did that happen?
uh, Frankie sent me an email and tuned in. And I was like, at that point, I was like, I don't know. I mean, obviously, it's very important that you check what kind of stuff will be filmed afterwards. Yeah, now that is the point. And I would not allow, and still won't, and never will allow a real 5 meal session to be filmed. There are these either private ones or even Octavio Redick was doing it for the time, filming people, I guess even unasked and stuff. But long story short, you just don't film someone having a 5 meal DMT experience. That's a very, very fragile state a human is in then. And it's not good to have people watching that, surrounding that event. And this is something, I wouldn't do 5 meal in groups anymore if it is for full dosages. Yeah. If you go like 8 milligrams or something, yeah, you, you can do that because then there's no ego dissolution, yeah, no non-dual experience. So then it was okay. But you see, sitting in a circle and doing this experience with a group you don't fully know is always interacting energetic wise with your experience, and it's not good to not have a proper surrounding for a 5 meal trip. 5 meal is already taking a big toll on someone's mind. I mean, it's all about love, you see, and if you and the mind, the ego, yeah, treats itself with disrespect, with not with love, with it pushes itself. This is how we've been raised. There's no mistake involved. Everyone is like this for a reason. People who push themselves, people who are obsessed with their outer, being, yeah, are easy to manipulate through fear. That's the reason why this is happening in society. You're easy to manipulate. The more you are here, the more fear is something which pulls you in, and then it's easy to, like, the climate change, yeah, gives you shivering, yeah. That's the point. For example, yeah, I wouldn't say there's something like that. I'm just the thing is just, yeah, what a 5-MeO-DMT takes a big toll on the mind already. I mean, smoke, boom, yeah, mind dies, yeah, you freak out and or whatever you do, and then you come back, and it's a very, very hard rush for the mind. So you want to have the best set and setting for this. This is what I believe. So no group sessions for 5-MeO. I wouldn't support that. Back to the question. So they came to me because I can't even remember how they heard about me. But yeah, they asked, yeah, and I was saying, okay, I can do it this and this and this that way, yeah. And in the end, it was like family, they weren't sleeping in our house, but they were getting to know the family, and it was really, really big family thing going on. And I mean, obviously, yeah, super lovely boys. And I mean, if the whole movie also radiates that. It's a loving experience. It's a journey for the free ones. I mean, they drove here, yeah, which is quite a mile from England. So it was really, really beautiful. And I wouldn't I wouldn't see this coming because I had an experience with filming something before that. I did a very short, I mean, you can't even call that documentary. It was a 6.5 minute snippet in the end, which obviously took the night with the session, with a lady called Marisa, and you can still find it on the internet. I can't remember what it's called again, though. I took it off of my homepage because I just don't want to support it anymore. It's a very small snippet. I can't remember actually. I'm sorry. It's not what you. I did not want to repeat that. I really didn't want to repeat that, and so it was a bit risky for me, yeah. But I really got tuned in with first with Frank and then with Charles and Boris so nicely, and it turned out to be a win-win-win-win-win situation for humanity, for consciousness. It was just so beautiful, and a lot of people, in the aftermath, wrote to me having seen the movie. It's not um, getting the popularity that it deserves. But yeah, God's plan. So what?
Yeah, I
And
mean, I've got my take on that, but like, I think I bought the movie out of support, obviously, but
yeah,
when they had it on YouTube for a while,
yeah,
um, I think it really would have like blown up if it stayed on
yeah, but
YouTube.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, but
I think
Boris, this is what he does for a living.
yeah,
Not fully, sadly. But he's desperate. He puts a lot of work into that. I mean,
yeah.
it's edited in a way very, very professionally and lovely. And
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
it's
he's
fantastic.
a professionalist too. I can share that. So he really, yeah. So I don't know.
I mean, that movie is very professional. It's very well done. I'd recommend anyone go and watch it. One thing I would say as well is how did the Boris seem to take it? Was Boris the one who seemed to take it quite hard afterwards? Like, so in the movie, he seemed to be.
Yeah, yeah.
How did, if you don't mind me asking, how's he been after that? Has he managed to
Mm.
integrate it, and is he feeling a lot better now within himself? Because he seemed like he was struggling a little bit after having the.
Well, the funny thing is, he never told me, and he knew I'm here. He can, we can talk about it, and he never told me. And the funny thing is, his experiences was the most gentle one, right? He was
Mm,
during the experience, he was super soft and super super calm and very very peaceful. And but yeah, it's kind of like when you realize, yeah, what the truth is, yeah, and then look at the world how it is happening, yeah, and go deep into why things are happening that way, and is the human being really that bad such a bad being that it is portrayed in our society? Is it really? Or where is this coming from? Yeah, and seeing what is all happening, and then on the other hand, seeing this, this woke stuff going on, like where there's no heart in it. There's not. It's not. See, you see, it's all about how you be instead of being, and yeah. So I totally can understand that you have a hard come down, still needing to go on with this kind of stuff here. And he has children, and like a daily stuff, when you have this daily thing going on. And believe me, Ollie is my Olliness, yeah, is totally depressed and suicidal, and that never lifts, yeah. It's just the way, how much I am it, or if I'm just the one watching this happening. This is what changed over the years, and staying with yourself with love and affection. Taking the little one in the arm and saying, "Hey, Ollie, come on, oh boy," and it's that, yeah. So, yeah, it's where we were in the beginning. It's not about improving the self. It's about acknowledging the way you are. It's about realizing I am that, and it's good because this is my trip. This is, and suddenly that's the beauty. You see, if you start to look from a loving place towards yourself, you realize the beauty that you are, and how off the way was to watch yourself through the eyes that society tells you should watch yourself through. And yeah, but to end up answering the question, I never knew about it. I saw it first in the first
Right.
cut that I got from the movie. And I did ask him, "Hey, you cool?" And he said, "Yeah, it was that." And it was part, and I wanted to record it. He's honest enough to record that then too. So yeah, he's cool. And with the stuff that is happening the past 3 years, again, a lot, if not everyone, has been asked, do you trust yourself? Do you trust love? Do you trust life? Or do you trust, yeah, what's been on offering, yeah? So, and I guess it's all about the big trust life, yeah? Trust God, trust yourself. And
Yeah, I
I'm
mean
not
it's
I'm not
it's
shy to say God, yeah? It's really God, yeah?
I mean
Consciousness.
it's an interesting one because I think in recent events it's put a spotlight on it, and I think it's kind of often the one who's shouting the loudest about being moral, or is the seat of morality and shouting the loudest about that, and then trying to manipulate and dictate what other people do with their own free will. I think there is a real issue with that, and I think there is a real arrogance with that, and all of these things are the worst characteristics of the mind, and they've just propagated that message. So I'm in agreement. I think that there's definite issues with impinging on people's sovereign freedom. We're all free beings. We're born into this world as
Yeah.
free entities to make free choices. So I think as long as you're not harming anyone else, and even that was used. They're clever. You got to give it to them. They're clever, Ollie. They're clever.
Whoever they are, yeah.
Yeah. So, what I would say as well is I wanted to talk to you a little bit about integration of an experience. It's not as sexy as talking about, having a death experience in 5-MeO, or, having a really interesting, visions and hallucinations, but not really, but, visions of things in certain different types of experiences. But I found integration is probably the most a lasting thing. It's probably the most the next few days and weeks afterwards are really. I mean, I had an experience where I was just randomly breaking down crying for like several days after one experience I had. And I found that I must have been getting out of my system a lot of suppressed trauma that I'd not acknowledged. So, how can you speak to that, Ollie, in terms of the integration process and how important that is?
Yeah, I mean, we said it before. It's the utmost of importance. It's the integration. It's really it's see the thing is I had a coaching a few days with a guy from Switzerland, I guess. Yeah, so we were talking about. He was like, how can I proper let go? Yeah, how can I proper how can I grab grab what I have during the experience into daily life? How is there a way to get that, to grab that? And I said, why would you want to do this? So we were going back and forth, and I said, hey, it's all here, you know, you don't need anything, you don't need to take anything to have it, yeah. And I said, hey, if you want, you know, I sent you mushrooms. You can do mushrooms every week. I mean, if you would do them every day, you have tolerance, yeah. But let's say once a week, you celebrate that and you wait, you know, when will be the day, yeah. And then you have it once a week. I can support you with this, you know. You do it, and then you can have it. And maybe even because he was talking about, yeah, I'm seeing the benefit from the small dosages and how I can, you know, stuff, yeah. So I said, yeah, and you know, do it in a dose which is comfortable for the mind, yeah. So you're on the improvement trip, you go fully in, and then we talk again in a year, yeah, or we talk again in a half a year, and let's see how much that helped you on that trip. Or maybe you just realize that the longing, yeah, you have here now. In German, you say Sehnsucht, yeah. Longing means Sehnsucht, yeah, and Sucht is addiction, yeah, and Sehnen, yeah, is something to long for, yeah, and longing for means always here now, no, in the future. I long for to be somewhere else, yeah. So you're addicted to longing for the future, of being again all here now in peace, high from mushrooms, that kind of thing. You see, so this is also happening with many people who encounter psychedelics and then go on this. I need to go to an ayahuasca retreat again. Mama is calling me. The spirits told me I need to go again, and you know, there's all these kind of images that people build up to just happen. It's funny, you know. The you know the junkie at the train station, yeah, he knows exactly, shit, I need a shot, I'm starting to sweat, yeah. but but the ayahuasquero maybe says like, the guest spirit is calling me, I gotta go again. Funnily, you can always see this happening in the third, fourth week after such a session, because then the serotonin levels come back to normal place, yeah,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like the high is wearing off, yeah, and my ayahuasca is calling me, I gotta go, and you know, so so the thing is, you see, yeah. Are you able to, you know, I mean, you can fully give into this longing, yeah, into this addiction of yours. No problem, yeah. I support you. You can try. And because you see that the most beautiful thing in life is a real experience, yeah. Because we watch telly and the experience of life is about this and this and that. This is the experience of life. And you go like, I know, yeah. But switching off the telly, going out, having a life experience, a life experience, like life here now, like midst, yeah, having it, going through it. It's not knowledge. It's wisdom. And that's the point, you see. You want to have wisdom, not knowledge. Knowledge is stuff of someone else. Wisdom is the stuff that you want to have. That's your stuff. That's, I've been going through this. So, and there's many ways to do this. You see, either you just go into it, giving it fully, you know, be an alcoholic to see how it is to be alcoholic, yeah? Or be conscious for what it does to your body and maybe just be a bit of alcoholic and then realize, okay, I give this up, you know? I've been giving this stuff up, and I thought I've been giving it up in the past, But then it came back with all the stuff that's happening, and Ollie having his issues. You see the lines in the sky, and you ask yourself, has there been when you were small? Yeah. And that can pull you down, yeah. And then it's good to have a supermarket on the other side who sells schnapps, yeah. Good work. Good. So, but you start to realize, okay, the schnapps I'm getting bloated. Is this good? I'm not feeling well anymore. And then you have the chance to either die for this shit or realize, okay, I gotta not I gotta, but hey, I try out to let it go. Let's say it that way, yeah. And then you let it go, and then you see, oh, I'm feeling much better. Okay, so you had then this experience, and you know what you're talking about, and it's not they tell you, it's you have it, and so yeah, integration. To finally ask the question, what I just all shared with you, that is integration. That is exactly that. And you can have that by calling Ollie, yeah. Hey Ollie, can we integrate together? Yeah, and we have coaching and we talk about that and you reflect on that. Yeah, by hey, yeah, you can also write me whatever, or you just do it yourself by consciously going through it, by realizing, okay, we're in the third week now. I'm starting to feel a little bit more grounded and not as high as last week. Okay, correct. My brain chemistry is going back to normal. So maybe I help my brain chemistry by having a walk a day, by going out, watching the sun. Is it set? Yeah, sunset in the evening. What a lovely experience! Every day you can have that. My mantra is right now, or my meditative business is in these days, yeah, or right now is watering the garden. I mean, obviously it's not raining, so I'm the rain for the water for the garden, and I'm doing this barefoot, yeah, because earthing, yeah, another one, very wise one, interesting thing. I have all electric culture in the garden, so I'm just a bit of gaga, yeah, and it's so cool, I'm standing there and watching the plants and having some good music playing, yeah. Alice in Chains, I've listened to the past days, and Soundgarden, Chris Cornell, and very nice standing there and singing and every evening for an hour or something, barefoot, yeah, earthing, and that just feels very, very, very good, as if I would have been taking mushrooms, and that's the point. You see, you don't need to take the mushrooms. Just be conscious for what is happening around you. And integration means, you know, reliving through what has been stored during the trip by remembering it, yeah, and by watching stuff happening in you. But proper integration you can call conscious, um, being aware, yeah, awareness rising in you. And I mean, it sounds fishy again, like spiritual, but just watch it. Be the spectator of it. Be the person witnessing it in you. And if you do that, you can go a very long way, and that will help you to get the best out of that experience. Yeah, because the memory you might have from the experience might create longing. If it was a very good trip, you get that longing for, I want to have that again. I have the Sehnsucht, I have the longing to have that again. And then you realize, hey, wait a second. Do I need the mushrooms? Or is it here now? Yeah. So that, I guess, answers the question.
Oh, that was great. That was great. Yeah, I think I think that was a good place to end it, Ollie, I think.
Yeah.
So I just want to thank you again for your time.
Yeah.
If anybody does want to get in touch with you,
Yeah. Just,
I might basically reach out to me, and I'll be the conduit, maybe.
Yeah, indeed. Just do not put the homepage below it. In the past, I've been longing that people that people from the podcast would do this just as an advertisement for the weekends and blah. But honestly, I don't need it. I don't need advertisement, and I don't really care anymore. It's just, for me, it's most important to give the mushrooms further. And if people are supposed to find me, they find me. And yeah, by asking you, that will be one way. And it's really what a trip, man. It's just what a fucking trip. It's just, I'm sorry. I guess we're losing the last one of the series. Series.
Not at all, mate. Not at all. Thank you, Ollie. I
Visitor
appreciate it. Thank
spectators.
you. Thank you so much.